Well, hello. This is your slight Chapter 14 spoiler warning, and welcome to the Arknights Operator's Mediocre Guide featuring Civilight Eterna, also known as sort of Theresa, but kinda not really. Theresa 2.0. She's readily available for upgrading after completing Chapter 14. The subclass for today is the Bard Supporter, where just by existing on the map, friendly units within range will regenerate health equal to 10% of the operator's attack per second. The overtime healing does work on friendly units of all types, even ones that normally can't receive healing normally. It's not the highest attack stat out there, but it's passive healing that may or may not increase depending on the skill. But in the case of Civilight Eterna, healing does go up thanks to her first talent. Here's the short description. Theresa has 3 balls that like going inside other operators, increasing how much passive healing they get from her. Here's the long description. Prepare yourself. 3 glowing balls orbit the 8 tiles around the operator. When one of those balls touches another operator, it disappears and increases the Bard Supporter passive healing by 50%. So instead of the 10% of attack as healing, it's 15%. The increased healing rate lasts for 6 seconds, and at the same time after those 6 seconds, the consumed orb returns to orbit around again. Operators will not take in 2 balls at the same time. The second one touching will not refresh the 6-second duration. Instead, it will move past the buffed up operator to continue orbiting until they make contact with a different operator. And its operator specifically, it won't work on summons of any kind. Summoner summons, monsters, Jessica alters shield deployment, they won't benefit from this talent. The respawn location of each orb will appear where it would be after 6 seconds if the orb continued going around. So since there's only 3 orbs going around, they can only really affect 3 operators at a time, because by the time the ball respawns, the buff will just have expired. Regarding the orbit direction itself, it only goes counterclockwise around CE, so if you're looking to absorb her balls into multiple specific operators, you do have to think about who the balls will touch first. Okay, hopefully that all made sense. Our hologram waifu's second talent is much simpler. All friendly operators take 15% less damage from Sarkaz enemies, which is a decently populated category. Lots of enemies to mitigate damage from. Bring her to IS-5 for Aside Fables if you want. Most enemies there are Sarkaz if you're struggling with survivability. Skill 1, the Past Lingering, is an infinite duration skill increasing the Bard Supporter's passive healing to 35% of attack per second. Additionally, in the game's words, particle generation speed is increased. Which, that's a little vague, but I can tell you that the talent orb generation is reduced to 3 seconds, half of the 6-second buff itself. Which means more operators around Theresa II can benefit from the increased passive healing from all that ball absorbing going around. Healing wise, it's a nice consistent healing, nothing absolutely outstanding, especially since the skill turns CE into a heal bot that just exists. But you are able to decently heal up in-range units with these increased rates, made even higher with the talent balls that come and go. And once again, I will mention that Bard supported healing does heal units that can't be healed normally, like summons and the like, so Skill 1 can serve a nice niche there. Skill 2, the Future Elusive, for 35 seconds gives you more balls to work with, plus 3 for a total of 6. Upon skill activation, the maximum amount of talent orbs will spawn around Theresa II, and is no longer able to make contact with friendly operators. Instead, her ball's orbit will expand further, and enemy units making contact will take up to 275% true damage, and bind them for up to 3.5 seconds. The particles disappear and respawn the same way as a talent normally would, the whole 6 seconds thing, and on top of that, everyone within Theresa's Bard range enjoys an inspiration attack buff equal up to 100% of her attack stat. Is the offensive skill of the 3, it actually does more damage than you think, especially from a supporting operator with a low attack stat like Civilight Eterna. And true damage is a nice thing to have against anything with high defenses and or arts resistance. Spread Theresa's binding balls around multiple targets, or even better, keep a single enemy locked into a perpetually binded purgatory. It's a nice trick to pull off given there's nothing else for CE's particles to touch. Due to the changed speed of orbit, the balls actually end up respawning slightly before their disappearance point, which is why you can bind lock something. Similar to when the skill is activated, when its duration expires, the 3 healing orbs will instantly respawn and slowly come back to the closer orbit around the operator. The expanded orbit also means that enemies too close to Civilight Eterna won't be able to be hit. Adjust accordingly. Skill 3, the Present Reconstructed, lasts 30 seconds and does the following. Bard supporter range widens up and increases to up to 90% of CE's attack. Talent particles don't disappear on contact anymore, and everyone in range gets an inspiration buff equal to 100% of her maximum health. Every 2 seconds, operators in range have their HP reshuffled to where they all have an equal percentage of health. Think of this skill as one big spirit link. When the skill is active, it's a lot more difficult for your operators to bite the dust. There's the max health boost, which for most ranged operators more or less doubles their HP, really upping their initial survivability. On top of that, there's the mass passive regeneration boosted further by any talent particle contact. And just as an optimization bonus, the more operators or summons around, the more total regeneration happens, as when health is equalized due to taking damage, no one will have full health, meaning everyone can regenerate simultaneously. There's also a fun timing thing you can do. Upon activating skill 3, the max health boost is instant, so you can panic buff if you see a key operator about to go down or be one-shot. And to top everything off, though not yet released in global servers at the time of making this video, the first module, along with a minor attack boost for having friends around, buffs the first talent, giving the orbs instant healing when they disappear on an operator, giving the balls a more significant impact when they land onto an operator. So, how do we use Theresa 2 Electric Boogaloo? Survivability is likely why you'd want skill 1 or 3, there isn't really any other reason, both different degrees of survivability. Skill 1 has high consistent healing, a solid option, but you may be asking why you'd want passive healing to begin with instead of a medic for example, who can likely heal for more and or grant extra utility. And I think the answer lies in the innate difference between passive and direct healing. Again, as mentioned before, maybe you do want to heal up units that can't normally be healed, maybe your regular medics are subject to attack speed drops. I'm sure you can find a decent enough reason when it comes up. Skill 3 is primarily built for specific key points of high incoming damage. You may not need increased survivability for the entire duration of the map, you might just want to survive that one squad nuke or a particular group of nasty enemies. Just keep in mind that inspiration buffs don't work on Bard supporters, so just be a bit careful with Civilight Eterna herself going down cause she's not benefiting from her own max HP boost. And do make use of that skill 2 bind if you get the chance. Not every operator can just bind lock a single enemy for a little over 30 seconds. Yes, the orbiting range is a little restrictive, but once you've caught that one target, it's all binding from there, given nothing else is around to absorb hits. And also, there's nothing stopping you from piling on more crowd control for maximum stalling. And a quick word about skill 2's attack boost, it's your typical additive attack boost, always welcome. But you are probably paying more attention to the binding balls, so here's your reminder that it exists. Finally, here are Civilight Eterna's stats, potentials, trust bonuses, base skills, and my E264M9CE, reminding us of what it could have been. Sad times, but at least she's a playable operator. Some characters are not as lucky. And that was the Not Theresa guide. Thank you for watching, have fun playing around with those orb mechanics.